Good morning and welcome to On the Beat. My name is Kim Mastrofino, and with me today is the Beat team, Martin Chan and Joe Hildreth. We're going to check in with the Beat team to see how they're doing, and I know that they have some updates for us. So I think we're going to start with Martin. How's it going today?
Doing pretty well. Today's May 18th, which is Tuesday morning, and it's sunny.
It
I
is
like
sunny.
it.
I like it too.
It's warm.
What's the temperature today?
I guess high 70s to 80s, I guess.
Wow. I think I'll take
Almost
it.
summer.
Almost summer. Wow. Makes you
Yeah.
feel good too. Get out there and enjoy the weather. So
Yep.
thank you. Thank you for those updates. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Always good to hear about good weather, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So let's check in with Joe. Joe, how's it going today?
I'm doing good and great to be here.
How's Annie the cat today?
Doing good.
She listening in today?
I don't know.
One of these days we're going to get her on the broadcast, Joe. So you do have some community updates for us as well. So would you like to share now?
Yes.
Okay.
Please check out the Chamber website for more info on events and activities coming up. Also, check out the Musquamaket Beach Facebook page for the drive-in schedule and updates on restaurant opening and activities. Please also support Westerly business by shopping and dining locally.
Thanks for those updates. And yes, everything is starting to open up. So it is important that we support our local community. So get out there and go on a shopping spree and have some dinner or lunch and support local. So thank you for that information. So now it's time to introduce our special guest today. We always have special guests on our broadcast and always interesting, wonderful people. And so we're really fortunate to have our guest today. She is the executive director for the Grua Center in Stonington Borough. So please welcome Lori Robishaw.
Good morning.
Good morning. So glad to have you on.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
Well, it's great to have you. We are so looking forward to hearing all about you and all about everything going on at the Grua Center, which is an amazing cultural center. So we're excited for that information. So as you know, Martin and Joe are going to be conducting the interview questions. And so, Joe, I do think you had the first one. Are you ready to go?
Yes.
All right, let's get started.
Hey, Lori, for those new to the broadcast, can you tell us about yourself and how you became the executive director for the Grua Center?
Yeah, it's a tongue twister. La Grua is the crane in Italian. So that's those of us who don't speak Italian may not know that. So yes, I work in a career called arts management. And that means I'm not an actor or a dancer or a musician or a visual artist. I'm the person behind the scenes who tries to help the artists make that happen. So I deal with fundraising and publicity and arts management, the care and feeding of artists and staffs of an organization, taking care of a facility like La Grua Center where the art happens. So that's my training. I started out in theater. I'm originally from Northeastern Ohio, a very small town. And I studied theater in college and theater management in graduate school. And I've lived all over the country and worked for many different arts organizations, from very big ones to teeny tiny ones. I've worked in big cities like New York and Los Angeles and Washington, and very small rural communities like where I grew up in Ashtabula, Ohio. And I worked for professional theater in Horse Cave, Kentucky. And I'm not kidding, the theater office was next door to a cave. That's the part of the country, some people may have heard of Mammoth Caves. It's that part of the world. So I've had an opportunity to work with lots of different people in different art forms in different size communities. And it's been a lovely career. I've intersected with Connecticut a couple of times. First, I'll say, even though I'm from Northeastern Ohio, those of us who know our region's history know that that part of Ohio used to be part of something called the Connecticut Western Reserve. And in fact, some of my ancestors actually came from Connecticut, in Norwich in the middle 1600s. And then some of them, moved to Northeastern Ohio. So I went to graduate school in New Haven. And then about 10 years ago, I came to Southeastern Connecticut because I had lost my job at Ohio State, my undergraduate alma mater, in a big restructuring. It was kind of in the last recession. So I came to live with some friends here. And I should say I used to work for the Eugene O'Neill Theater Center in Waterford, Connecticut many years ago with something called the National Playwrights Conference, but those were only just summer jobs. So I was familiar with the area. And 8 or so years ago, I helped create the Southeastern Connecticut Cultural Coalition, which is an alliance of all the arts and cultural organizations in Southeastern Connecticut to come together and advocate for the arts and culture and be a kind of a support system for each other. And then very quickly, I went back to my hometown. My dad was very sick, sadly, and I ran the local arts center where I'd gotten my start in the arts and had a chance to make a contribution to a place that had been very important to me. But after my dad passed away, I didn't know that I wanted to stay there too much longer. But I loved this part of the country and found the job at Grua Center almost 5 years ago. So long story, long-winded, but when you have that many stops on your career path, that's sort of what happened. So I came here 5 years ago and was very intrigued by the mix of arts and culture, presenting concerts and art exhibitions and speakers on a lot of topics. That's what Grua Center does. So it brings all my experience from all over the place to this part of Stonington.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Thank you.
I didn't realize you had such a big theater background. That's amazing.
That was my art form of choice. And I realized in high school doing the musicals that I really enjoyed, what did the poster look like and how did we sell tickets and those sort of things that go in the behind the scenes efforts. And also realized as much as I enjoyed performing, I wasn't particularly good at it. So I had to find a way for me to work in that sector of the arts and find a way that I could do it. And when I went to college, I didn't even know there was a career called arts management, but one of my advisors in college told me about it. And I thought, oh, that was the light bulb. That was what I would do. I had an arts background and some leadership skills, and I took some business courses to understand the financial part of it a little better and forged a career.
That's awesome. Amazing. Great background. Very interesting as well. I was involved in community theater, years ago. And some of the folks that were involved in, it was actually Theater Workshop of Westerly. And some of those folks were involved with Eugene O'Neill, the theater there. So, but yeah, it certainly is great. And I love the arts. So thank you for that information. So Martin, I think you have the next question.
Yes. Hey, Lori. Can you tell us about the mission of the Grua Center and how it became a great cultural center?
Thank you, Martin, for saying it's great. We think it is great also. But we're also trying to help more people understand that because they may not know about us. Our mission, we say we want to engage community through arts and culture. And when we first started about 15 years ago, and this is for your audience to know, we're at 32 Water Street in Stonington Borough, and we're the public space in a private residential community of condominiums. So that's a very unusual structure. But it's a very old building that used to be a factory many years ago. And about 15, 20 years ago, they decided to make homes in it so that it's a building. All the buildings are brick and stone. And I don't know if Ben has some of those outdoor pictures that he could pull up. So it's a beautiful building and they just completely gutted the inside. But the idea was to make it gathering space for the community. Stonington Borough is quite small, and there aren't many places where many people can get together to gather. And oh, there we go. That's you can see all that beautiful stonework. So in the inside, when they gutted it, they put in cathedral ceilings, very high ceilings. And we can get about 150 people in there. And they realized at the time that there were wonderful acoustics for music presentations. So they started presenting music. Oh, yeah, there we go. And that's actually Hillary Castle, who's a very distinguished violinist who lives in New York City, but she's from Stonington. And we present her every year or two. She's just beautiful and just gave birth to her second child this past year. So she's wonderful to have with us. So yes, so we realized that lots of music. Good one. This is a member of the U.S. Coast Guard Band. I don't know if everybody realizes this, that most of our premier service bands for the Army, Air Force, Navy are all based in Washington, D.C. But the Coast Guard Band is based in New London because of the Coast Guard Academy. And folks, these are world-class musicians. These are the best of the best. They, we see them, the service bands, for presidential inaugurations or funerals. They've traveled the world. And we have these musicians right here in our backyard. So they have a number of ensembles. And in fact, one of the concerts we're presenting next month on Friday, let me check that. I think it's June 25th. We'll be presenting a nonette, which is 9. That's the word for 9 musicians to play some big band music on our green. We're doing some outdoor concerts. So they are wonderful musicians. This is an interior shot of a pianist named Stephen Porter. So you can see how beautiful the space is. It's intimate in a musical setting. People sit closely together. You can see the beautiful art on the wall. And this is a beautiful grand piano that we own. It sits in our corner when it's not being played. And it's amazing how just one instrument can just fill a hall, whether it's a piano or a clarinet or a cello. There are, we actually do occasionally have outdoor concerts every year, except this past year because of the pandemic. We do an outdoor music festival. And this is at our neighbor, the Portuguese Holy Ghost Society. And the artist is Sonia Betancourt. And she does something called Portuguese fado music, which I had never heard of before I came to Stonington, because up until maybe the last 30 or 40 years, Stonington was best known as a fishing village, and most of the fishing fleet were people of Portuguese descent. And Portuguese fado is a music of the Portuguese people. So we partnered with the Holy Ghost Society to present Portuguese fado at an outdoor concert. These artists, this is Latin Essence Jazz Group, and we are presenting them this Friday night in an outdoor concert. And I'm sorry to say, for people listening out there, we just sold the concert out. So we don't have any more tickets available for them, but I know we'll have them back in the future. And they performed for us inside about maybe a year and a half ago. Just terrific musicians. So yes, so that's, thank you, Ben. Those were great to throw those photographs up there as the Grua Center was founded, and realizing music was going to be such a key part of what we do and what we can present there. And it's usually smaller ensembles, soloists, duets, chamber music, small jazz ensembles. The acoustics are amazing. Just a couple of them, you think, the roof can be blown off the place. So that's the music part of it. You saw in one of those pictures, we have big white walls, so we put art on them. So every 2 months, usually, we have art exhibitions of photographs, might be paintings. We've had fiber art and quilts, drawings, print, all kinds of visual arts media, as well as occasional history projects. We worked with the Stonington schools when they closed the Pawcatuck Middle School, which had been in the community for 80 years last year. And the students put together some photographs and story projects that we put on our walls to commemorate that and to make sure that there was a piece of history. And several years ago, we also worked with the Stonington Historical Society to commemorate the 100th anniversary of America's involvement in World War I. And we worked with the community to see if people had letters or photographs of their family members, might have been parents, grandparents, who had served in World War I and wrote about it. And we made an exhibit of those letters and some of the photographs to look back at our history from 100 years ago. So we do that occasionally as well. We have, for many years, celebrated art in autism during Autism Awareness Month, which I think is April every year.
Yes.
Again, this past year, the things went out the window, but that's something that has been important to us as well. So that's how we serve community. And the third part of that is we realized our region of the country has so very many interesting people who live here, and they can give talks on all kinds of subjects. For instance, my first year, we had a young man who lives in Mystic who had just gone to Antarctica and climbed the highest mountain in Antarctica. So he came and he showed slides, and he brought his little tent and the crampons that he puts on his boots that you could, to hang on to the glacier with, and told that story. That was fascinating. We've had, here's another picture. Our most famous person is Jacques Pepin, the French cook and chef and cookbook author. I think he's known all over the world. Well, he lives not very far from us down in, I think, Madison, Connecticut. And his daughter and his granddaughter, Shori, who is pictured with him here, live up near Providence. So 2 years ago, Jacques, with his granddaughter, Shori, wrote a cookbook for kids. And they came to the Grua Center and talked about it. So that was very exciting to have someone of his stature speak to us. For instance, next month, we love food. I think there are a lot of people out there who like food and the great restaurants in the region. We're going to have Adam Young, who runs the Sift Bakery in Mystic, to come talk to us. And forgive me, I don't remember exactly, but he was on one of the TV baking shows.
Yes.
And won. And he's going to come talk about that. And, they just have these wonderful pastries at that bakery, and, talk about his story of how he came to do that. And they've just opened another place in Mystic called Young Buns, where they sell, I think, just donuts. And oh my gosh, they are delicious. So that's another story. So we've just had so many interesting people, and then interesting people in our region know other interesting people. So we have speakers and all kinds of stories. We had, I can't remember if I gave you this picture, Mark Brown, who's a past chairman of the Mohegan tribe, came and spoke with us a couple of years ago. It was the 25th anniversary of the Mohegan tribe's federal recognition, which is what allowed them to build a casino on their property. And that's had a huge impact on southeastern Connecticut the past 25 years in terms of employment, in terms of understanding the Mohegan culture. So we've learned about that. We're trying to learn about, we had more of a Rhode Island connection. Two representatives from the Narragansett tribe and the Tamaqua Museum came to us and talked about a translation of a book that was nearly 400 years old, to have a good English translation, but it was a Roger Williams book, and he documented a lot of the Narragansett language. And as we know, many of our Native American tribes have lost their language over history. So that's been important to us to hear some of those stories. So those are the three prongs of what we do. We do the concerts, we do art exhibitions, and we do talks on just a wide range of subjects. And that's how we engage our community. And even though we are located in Stonington Borough, we serve all of southeastern Connecticut and southern Rhode Island. We want to be a regional organization and invite people to come in. And again, it's a little hard to find us the first time because we are part of this residential community called Stonington Commons. So you have to look for those signs. But we are the public space. We're open to the public. Some of our programming is free. Some of it has a charge, but we try to be very affordable so many people can enjoy our work. And our concerts and our talks tend to be a little shorter. We try to keep everything to about an hour, hour and 15 minutes. And this past year, of course, when we really couldn't gather in person, we brought in musicians and we recorded them in our space. And then we posted the concerts to YouTube, charged $10 for them, and tried to at least offer some employment opportunities to musicians who, lost all their jobs last year because, they couldn't perform because we couldn't get together to hear them. So we did that. And then our talks were done on the Zoom platform, which many people have heard of. I had never even heard of it until the middle of March last year. And so we can, present speakers that way. But we are just starting to get back to live performing.
That's wonderful. You have a wonderful organization.
Thank you.
Great information.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's really fascinating, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, Martin.
You're welcome.
Joe, I think you have the next question. You ready to go?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you also tell us about the LaGrua legacy?
Yes, I'm going to tell you where the name came from. I think La Grua is the crane in Italian. And our founders are Morris and Winifred LaGrua. And they used to have a little store down the street from us in Stonington Borough called LaGrua's Store. And Winifred actually had worked for the Atwood Machine Company, which was what our space had been before it became condominiums. So she knew the space, and her husband, Morris, was a kind of sort of like the town photographer. He took all the yearbook pictures for Stonington High School. He took pictures at many people's weddings, and they didn't have kids. So when he died, they had some money, and I think he had some family money. And Winifred LaGrua knew that the space that is now LaGrua was being renovated into a community space. So she gave us the money to gut the place and reorganize it as a community space. So we have that history, and that's our name is named after her late husband. She has since passed away as well, but it was that initial gift. We call it a naming gift, hence the name. You give us money, we will name it after you. And that's how we have Grua Center. And for many people who live in the village of Stonington Borough, they remember the store. Many people will say, oh, he photographed our wedding, and he did our graduation yearbook. So it's a name that has historical value and interest in Stonington Borough, especially.
Wow, that's very great about the legacy.
Yeah. Very interesting too.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I never got to meet them. They both passed away before I got here, so I never had the pleasure.
And isn't it nice that you carried on tradition for them?
I think so. That's what I'm
Yeah.
told by people who knew them.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Now you did, I know that Martin has the next questions, and it's about concerts. I know you have talked a little bit about concerts, but I'm going to have you ask the question as well.
Please.
So we can get more information.
All right. What concerts will you offer through September?
I'm putting my glasses on so I can read my notes and give you an accurate answer. I mentioned the one this week that's sold out, so we'll move on from that one. But the Coast Guard Band's ensemble, the Nonette that I mentioned earlier, will be on Friday evening, June 25th, on the green that is adjacent to Grua Center in our Stonington Commons. And the July concert is going to be sea chanties, and that's very much a reflection on our neighbor, the Mystic Seaport Museum. Those are the songs that the old, the crews of the whaling ships would sing as they're putting up the sails on the ship. And it's that historical tradition. Revel Carr, who grew up in the area, he lives, I think, in Kentucky now, but he's visiting family, and he'll be doing some sea chanties for us on Friday, July 23rd. And then our August concert will actually be on a Tuesday night, and it will be on Wattawanek Square, which is right outside the Stonington Free Library. and that's Bergen O'Malley, who's a local singer-songwriter, and she's going to do a kids concert. She loves to sing with the small children, so that's going to be a Tuesday evening concert. And then in September, we're having a jazz ensemble called Epitome, and it is headlined by Cedric Mayfield, who is also a member of the Coast Guard band. This is his band on the side. That's not officially part of the Coast Guard, but some of his musicians do this on a side from their real job with the Coast Guard band. And it's a wonderful jazz ensemble. So those are outdoor concerts this year. So that's what we're sort of focused on. We will be having some of our more classical oriented music in a series called Music Matters. And we'll probably still be doing that inside with people wearing masks and some sort of distance as we kind of work through this transition period in the summer as the guidelines change from the government. So that's sort of, those are the concerts that are coming up.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're pretty active.
Indeed it is.
Now, are all your concerts, is there a charge for all the concerts?
The outdoor concerts this year are going to be free. We are partnered with the Stonington Village Improvement Association, and they have supported them so we can offer them free. Our concerts inside are usually $15, $20, and most of our talks, they vary. If we have a famous person like Jacques Pepin, then we're going to charge $20 or $25. For some of our speakers, it might be $5 or $10. So it sort of depends. We try to, again, always be affordable. And sometimes, like with Jacques Pepin, we'll sell their book at the same time. So you get the talk and a book.
Very fascinating.
Awesome. That's awesome. Joe, would you like to take question 5?
Yes. What other events are you planning now and in the future?
Thank you, Joe. Our next art exhibition is the art and architecture of a man named Thomas Norton. And he's an artist, and he's an architect, and he built yachts. So that's just a very interesting art form to look at what the design might be to build, you know, boats that people can be on. So that actually goes in May 28th, I think. At the end of the month is when that, so it'll be up through the month of June. And then in July, every year we do an art exhibition called Stonington Artists. So anybody who's a visual artist in Stonington can submit their work. And we usually have 40 or 50 pieces of art of any kind, that's usually 2-dimensional, up on our walls. So we're very happy to welcome them back as well. I mentioned one of our speakers, Adam Young of Sif Bakery. We're having a young woman named Kendra Joy who's going to do a Zoom presentation because she lives in New Orleans. And she's going to talk to us about Gullah culture. And that's a culture of African Americans who were enslaved but grew up in South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and the culture they kept from Africa that has informed their cooking traditions. There's a Gullah basket making that's very fascinating, and some of the folklore, their tales and fairy tales that came out of that tradition, she's going to talk to us about. So those are a couple of the upcoming, I'm trying to think, of course, there's just, you know, so much going on, and if I don't have it right in front of me, I don't remember everything. But that's why I encourage people, they can go to our website, which is lagruacenter.org. And there's a big scroll up at the top that shows kind of the upcoming events for the next couple of months. And people can also sign up to get our emails that come out. Oh, look at there, lagruacenter.org. Thank you. Thank you very much. So yes, so that is where people can get more information about us.
Awesome. That's great. Martin, would you like to take the last question?
Yes. What else would you like others to know?
Oh my goodness. I've yacked so much for the last, I think I've pretty much hit everything, except we're just really trying to welcome people who've never been to our place before. We acknowledge it's a little challenging to get there the first time, we think we should have buttons that say, "I found the Grua Center." Because once you find it, it's easy, but it is a little challenging. The borough has parking challenges, especially in the summer, so we have some information to help people figure that out. We actually have a free parking lot at La Grua Center, so most people can park quite easily once they find it.
Wow, that's cool. That's awesome.
Amazing. I'm amazed at how much you do at the La Grua Center, and it sounds like an amazing place. I've actually been there, great, and I want to participate more in all your activities because they sound so interesting. So we thank you for that, and thank you so much for coming on. And it was a pleasure to meet with you and to chat with you and to learn more about everything you are doing and the amazing organization that you work for. So we wish you well now and in the coming months, and we'll see you.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Martin and Joe. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
As well. I also want to thank Martin and Joe for being great hosts today, and a special thank you to Ben Barber for producing our broadcast and being right on with all the pictures and everything. Great work as always. So, and thank you for all who joined in this morning to listen to the broadcast. If you happen to have missed it, don't worry, it will be there later on our social media pages. So please keep an eye on Facebook for the next broadcast. And just remember to stay safe and healthy and enjoy the rest of your week. And?
Well, that's it for now. We'll see you next time on The Beat.
Thank you so much.